Greetings to all of you internetians. This is Piano Bar Live. Greetings to all of you internetians. This is Piano Bar Live, where we all connect with live music. The show starts now.
Today, all day, I had this feeling a miracle would happen, and somehow I was right. 'Cause here you are, and was just a world is a star.
Hey, Tony,
Hey, Scott.
this is a very special night
I know.
for us because we're going to get a chance to go back in time. Unfortunately, Jerry passed about 8 years ago, but the nights that he created for all of us, they are so magical, and they will last forever. I mean, people will still, Jerry Scott made a major impact. He was one of those people that absolutely, when you met him, he became your friend. He listened to you. He looked at you. He heard your story, and then he had some good ones too.
Well, Scott, full disclosure, in preparing for the show, I had not had the opportunity to ever see him perform live, but I became an instant fan. I was doing other things, and I heard just the beginning of one of the pieces that we're going to share tonight, and it just stopped me in my tracks. So sensitive and just wonderful singer, wonderful player. Just
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear all the stories behind the man.
I met him in 1981. It was my first job waiting tables in a restaurant, my first restaurant job. And I met him in 1981 when Waverly opened. I was part of the opening team, and I was there all the way to the time that it closed. There was a group of us waiters that were there. We were the house favorites. And a lot of characters came in. A lot of friendships were made. It was 1981, opened by, Johnny DeMeo, Johnny Savoy, Johnny Poole, who is not available tonight, but he's doing well. He had some issues with health, but he's on the recoup. And I believe they're doing a big event for him out in Fire Island this summer. So we're going to keep our eyes open for that. But let's just roll into the proceedings, if you would. Bring on our first guest. And what a pleasure it is to have him on Piano Bar Live, the actual show. He's been on the thread before. He's seen the show, but this is his first crack at it, so to speak.
I expect great things.
He's going to be he talk about stories. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Mr. Tree.
Hey, how you doing, everybody?
Hey, Tree.
It's so good to be here with everybody. I've seen some of the people that are going to be on the show, and God, do I miss them all.
Welcome to Piano Bar Live, Tree.
Well, as you know, I don't sing or play the piano,
but you got great stories. And, first I want to make sure that everybody, if you don't know Tree, you really should. I don't know how that happened. If you're a fan of the piano bars, because, he's one of these people that can actually use the word legendary, and it's true. It means something. I met Tree back in 1981, one of the first guests that I met at Waverly at that time when the club opened. Tree, you were there opening night?
Yes, I was. Got to remember one thing, that Johnny Poole and I met in 1964.
Indeed.
60-year friendship.
Those are the stories that I don't even know all of those. That's like another night.
He's inviting you back already, Tree. Fair warning.
I remember meeting Scott a long time ago.
I know. I was so young, and I was so innocent. And
young, maybe not innocent.
I'm not buying that.
Thank you, Tree. The one thing that I know for sure, Tree, is how much I appreciate all that you did for us when we first started. When we were at Waverly, when we all first got together and we formed that family that was there. You used to keep an eye out for us. You used to protect us, and we used to listen to stuff that you would tell us because you had already been there and done that.
Yeah, I was at Stonewall the day of the rebellion, 1969. I was only 30 years old then. I just turned 82 years young.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And Tree, 82, and you're going. You just got back yesterday from San Diego.
San Diego, where they made April 26th Freddie Tree Day.
That's perfect. And
I'll drink to that.
I'm going to Spain for Pride, and I'm going to Copenhagen for Euro Pride.
And you are officially an ambassador for the community when you go to these events.
Yes, and the State Department sends me places too. They sent me to the Ukraine, and they sent me to Serbia.
You're
That's
traveling
amazing.
around. Yeah, you're traveling around and to places that back in 1981, we knew that there were gay people there, but there was definitely very little community. But now these places that you're going all over the world are building the structure of family of the gay and lesbian, and the community is being built, and you're one of the people that's helping to set it in motion.
I was at the right place for the wrong time, or the wrong place for the right time.
It was perfect timing as far as.
Yeah, and I met Jerry Scott years before that, and I fell in love with him as a friend, as an entertainer. And when he used to play at Two Potato, remember he would say, "I'm going to take a 7 to 11-minute break."
Right.
He'd come back to the piano. I said, "Do you take requests?" And he said, "Yes." I put $5 in his cup and say, "Take another 7 to 11 minutes."
I'm sure he loved that.
Oh, yeah.
That opening clip was actually at Tavern on the Green, because Jerry would get gigs, and of course we can't go further without mentioning Susan and Alan Armour.
That was the bartender's ball.
And the bartender's ball, absolutely.
Well, that was
that.
Yeah.
So, Tree, I know back after everybody got separated at Waverly, and we all went our own ways. Some went to Ojani. We had a cabaret celebrity roast that I produced back in 1991. I'm going to show you the poster from that show. I have that here.
Oh, wow.
Brings back memories.
And you were in that show.
Yes, I was in drag playing his first piano teacher, Mrs. Bagan Burker. And if you remember, you were, and some young lady interviewed me at Julius's.
Yeah, we did a pre-interview with you so that we could get the word out.
Yeah, because I had to work that night.
And then we surprised Jerry that night.
Oh, yeah. I have a copy of it.
Oh, he's giving us the finger. Oh, we lost you there, Scott.
Can you hear me?
It was his fans. He gets fan texts during the show.
I'm gonna go on when I get on the break. I took off my "Don't Disturb Me" because I wanted to call one of our guests, and I forgot to put it back on. You see, even after you've done this a million times, I still screw up. So, Tree, that night, George Sardi hosted that show. And we had some of the best players in town come on and celebrate Jerry's life. We're going to do a little music now because that's one of the reasons that folks come here. Don't go anywhere, and we'll be back to you in a few minutes.
I'll be watching very anxiously.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tree.
And so now it is my pleasure to bring on this gentleman. He was 10 years old when we first met him. Back in the day, that
would explain his youthful look during sound check. I said, "Who is this person?"
Exactly, and he would come into Waverly, and he would help spot Jerry. Like if Jerry would take a break, he would come up to the piano and play. And then I think he played. He got on the roster there, and he's played a lot of different clubs along the years, and he's a good friend and a major player over all these years in the piano bar and cabaret spaces. So here we go, Mr. Bryon Sommers.
Thank you, Scott, and thank you, Tony. It's a pleasure to be here to help to honor Jerry, who I met probably in the late 70s, and we both had been working at a place called the Painted Pony, which was on 3rd Avenue. So anyway, I want to do a couple of songs that might remind you of Waverly Waverly and those times back then, both of which are by Jerry Herman, and from the show La Cage aux Folles. Do you recall that windy little beach we walked along? That afternoon in fall, that afternoon we met. With the concertina sang, what was the song? It's strange what we recall, and not what we forget. La 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 la, la la la, as we walked on the sand. I heard la 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 la, I believe it was early September. Through the crash of the waves, I could tell that the words were romantic. Something about sharing, something about always. Though the years race along, I still think of our song on the sand. And I still try and search for the words I can barely remember. For the time passes by, there is one thing that I will be forever searching for. I hear la 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 la, la 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 la, la la la, and I'm young and in Through the crash of the waves, I could tell that the words were romantic. Something about sharing, something about always. Oh, the years race along, I still think of our song on the sand. And I still try and search for the words I can barely remember. All the time tumbles by, there is one thing that I will be forever searching for. I hear la 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 la, and oh, that's not as easy as it used to be. But anyway, there was another great song from La Cage aux Folles, and it's a song that we all used to love singing along to, and it really did at that time. It was a time of hope and a time that gave us all very special memories from La Cage aux Folles being a major, major hit, a Tony Award winner on Broadway. So this next song I think you'll recognize, and if you want to join in and sing from your living room, sing along with me, that would be great. That would be fun. So here we go. The best of times is now. What's left of summer but a faded rose? The best of times is now, and for tomorrow, well, who knows, who knows, who knows? So hold this moment fast and live in love as hard as you know how, and make this moment last, because the best of times is now, is now, is now. Not some forgotten yesterday now, for tomorrow is too far away. So hold this moment fast and live in love as long as you know how, and make this moment last, because the best of times is now, is now, is now. Not some forgotten yesterday now, for tomorrow is too far away. So hold this moment fast and live in love as long as you know how, and make this moment last, because the best of times is now, is now, is now, is now, is now.
Hi, Bryon.
Hey, Scott.
What a pleasure to have you here on PBL with us tonight.
Well, thank you. My pleasure to be here.
Celebrating a place that really, they were the best of times when they were. That was
definitely.
for sure.
Yes.
Very mixed. We were all working in the clubs, and the folks down at Waverly, and then in 1983, we heard about this show, and of course, you can't say Jerry Herman and not, know that it's going to be a great show.
Right.
And one of the things that would happen is we would have a lot of celebrities come into Waverly, because it was kind of hip. You had to know where it was. You had to go upstairs. You had to find it. And we had an incredible, group of people, like I said, characters that would come in. But one of the people that was almost regular there was Harvey Fierstein. And
yes,
obviously helped with that show. And
definitely.
and helped. And what happened was, folks, 1983, there was a party going on, and we were in the middle of it. But there was also, it was a challenge because there was a pandemic at that time, and the AIDS crisis was just starting to be known about. We started losing friends and stuff. And when Jerry first played "The Best of Times Are Now" in Waverly, the entire place stopped, and it was a moment that we all could not forget, because we felt so good about ourselves. We felt so empowered. It was such a positive message about what we were doing, and it was like an amazing moment. And that song has held on. It's still an amazing anthem for us all. And
yes, it was.
So Bryon, you would come in, and I'm sure when Jerry would see you, he would probably light up, because he know that he could get a little break.
Break time.
Yeah, and then he would probably go to the bar. I'm guessing head to the bar first,
and then go out for a cigarette.
And then go out for a cigarette, which everybody did. Down the stairs, out to Waverly, the corner of Waverly and Waverly in the Village. If you folks don't know Greenwich Village, Waverly turns straight up, so it's kind of intersects itself. And of course, we were right across the street from a nunnery.
That's true.
That's true. And let me tell you, boy, those nuns,
They got an
didn't,
eyeful.
oh, they didn't know what was going on. They were like, "What's all this noise? What's all this buzz?" And we gave them a show. We tried to
True.
always be respectful of our neighbors, but we were in the village, so
They were the hippest nuns in town.
they were, and we had all kinds of people that came in, the full spectrum of the community. We had many Sunday brunches. We had a very loyal lesbian following. We had trans, not very much, but Chaka Savalas, if you remember, made her
Yes.
way in, and from uptown, we're gonna bring Tree on after the Tony's break here. So we're gonna do a little thing that we call Tony's Corner. Don't go anywhere, Bryon. We're gonna continue the conversation in a moment.
Okay. I'll be here.
Thank you.
Thank-
Tony, it's time for your corner.
Oh, it's just such one of the most special times of the show. I'll see you in a second, Scott.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. It sounds so, I don't know, lurid, doesn't it? But no, it's just a very sunny little time, is Tony's Corner. Hi, I'm Tony Javid, associate producer, and I just wanted to welcome you to this very special 80th edition of Piano Bar Live. And, you know, I just love I love any one of our Wayback Machine moments, and now it's Waverly time. So I am just all set for all of the juicy stories that are going to come up tonight, and more wonderful musical numbers. Anyway, for those of you who are at Facebook, at YouTube, Broadway on Demand, welcome. It's great to see folks like regulars like Rini and Shecky. Thanks so much for saying hi. It's also this time where it's very important that I remind you of the way that we've been able to make it to 80 shows. And that is just like in brick and mortar piano bar, it's the tip bowl, but we do it virtual, of course. So we want you to give what you can to our virtual tip bowl. I'll also drop information in the chat. I can guarantee it goes right back in the show, and we have some very specific areas that we want to improve, because as much fun as we've been having, we know that we can deliver even better for you folks. And again, the way that we can do that is if you can just drop whatever you can into the virtual tip bowl. And you know, once you've done that, don't forget to say hi to your old friends and meet new friends in the private, in the chat. You know, that's what it's all about. It's about the music. It's about making friends. It's about connecting with live music. So here we are, and thanks for joining us. So without any further ado, it's time to go back to our host and to some more great chat and song from the world of Waverly.
Tony, you know what I'm doing?
Yeah, polishing something.
I am dusting off the old tip bowl.
I thought it might have a legacy behind it.
I have survived over these many years, as many of us have, with the old tip bowl. And I do want to let you know that anybody that has ever given to Piano Bar Live, thank you. We really appreciate it. It does help us to move along. I want to let everybody just give a quick announcement for everybody that, you know, one of our goals, one of my goals certainly, and Tony's, is to help bring live music back into real spaces.
Absolutely.
So last week, I actually got to go out to two places. I went to Marie's Crisis. Very nicely done. I felt very safe. It was all the protocols being followed. And then I went upstairs to the new piano bar upstairs at the Stonewall, which was also a great treat. I got to see a newbie, as we used to say in the day, Mark Olesko, and he was wonderful. He covered all the music. He played behind live singers and gave an amazing show. So with all of that said, upstairs at the Stonewall has always been a special place. Downstairs at the Stonewall, but if you were lucky enough to know about the upstairs, but I'm going to ask you to bring back on somebody that knows this every inch of the Stonewall, Tree. And Tree, tell us a little bit about the history of that Stonewall location back in the day when you were there that night.
Well, there was no upstairs in those days.
Storage?
It was the two storefronts, the one that's empty now and the bar that we have now. There was only one entrance. You went in on one side, and you had to sign a book because they wanted to tell the police it was a private club. And my name in those days was Fenwick Fingernail. And there was Donabella Beach, Georgie Wolfgirl. You signed any name you wanted to, Queen Elizabeth, Mary Dugan. And we went in, and the closed side was where the bar and dance was. And then there was an arch in the middle of the room where you went to the other side to dance. And those were good days. And then years later, when it was closed after the rebellion, the riots, and it became a bagel, nosh, Chinese restaurant, luggage store, clothing store, nail salon, a little of everything. And then it opened up, as we remember, New Jimmy's. And when Jimmy Lozano died, Dominic took it over, changed it back to Stonewall. And when Dominic got finished with it, the people from the duplex took it over and opened up at the original name, Stonewall Inn.
Yes.
And I should mention, I worked at the Ninth Circle for years. You remember that place?
I certainly do. I met you many times at the Ninth Circle. It was an amazing place.
And Jerry Scott played there. They put a piano in a basement. Jerry Scott played there for my 50th birthday party. And Richard Torkis designed the whole place to make it look like a Las Vegas nightclub.
Nice. I do remember that tree.
And people from Broadway Opera came and celebrated my 50th birthday.
That was an amazing party. So thanks to those people, by the way, from the duplex. I want to shout out Bill Morgan and Kurt Kelly, and they have now Melissa Driscoll that I met.
And Tony DeChico. Don't forget
Tony DeChico. And Tony is still over at the duplex, and yes. you know that corner, you know that whole neighborhood.
That used to be the Village Voice
originally, and then wasn't there a hot dog stand of some sort down on the main floor, like on the street level? It was a grill.
It was next door.
Next door.
And they tore that down and built the Stonewall Bar and Stonewall Bistro, which is now Ofrenda, a Mexican restaurant.
You know, the one thing about the Village is it has changed over the years, but it has kept the specialness that's there. It's not quite as busy right now. By the way, you have to sign in now to go into the Stonewall.
Yeah.
You can so that they can trace you, contact trace you.
God, I went into Julius's for the first time in 1959.
Another place, if you don't know New York, Julius is still. Are they open now again, or are they still
indoors and out?
Excellent. So when you folks come to the Village, if you're not in New York, there's so much to do within a 5-block radius. Stonewall, the Monster, Marie's Crisis. There's just a lot happening there, and it's worth the visit. It's definitely worth the visit. Now that people are starting to travel again, come to New York, and we'll give you a night out. If you send a message to me, I'll even meet you and show you around. Because we're proud of what we had down in that neighborhood. Of course, the park is there, Tree.
Oh, yeah, that's always been there. And the statues, we have the gay and lesbian couples in the park. And the two men are Scott and David, who were customers at the Ninth Circle.
So the statues were created based upon two actual persons that were a part of the community.
Right. David Stott and David Burns.
Wonderful.
Now, so the only time I work upstairs is my birthday parties, and you've been to a few of them.
Yes, indeed. So let's bring Bryon on for a moment to say hello.
Hi, Bryon.
Hey.
You're here, Bryon, with Tree and me. And
I am. Hi, Tree.
Hi, Bryon.
I don't know if you can see me.
I can see you perfect. You never change.
Oh, thank you. And neither do you, my friend. You're amazing.
Porcelana. That's what it is.
Porcelana. Well, we like porcelana.
So you guys you guys traveled around the same circuit for a long time. Tree, one of the things that you did, on top of all of the other good things that you did, is that you actually were writing reviews for a long time to help promote people like me and people like Bryon that were out there. And
I worked for 7 different magazines and newspapers at the same time. I
Wow.
reviewed cabaret shows, and I had to do a different review for a different magazine and newspaper, because they said if I put the same review in both of them, they would stop it. So I had to write like 5 or 6 the same reviews for different people. And
Right.
I was never disappointed in the entertainment.
Did you work with Dorothy Derringer as well?
Yes, she said I never put a question mark, period. I just typed, and she had to figure out where the sentence ends.
You got to have the editors.
I just kept typing.
You got to have the editors.
That's why she has white hair.
Yeah, and she's down in Florida now, relaxing after her hard work again.
Yeah.
What was the name of the paper?
The Greenwich Village Press. I worked for Night Magazine. I worked for on the Wild Side, which was my favorite. And oh God, there were so many. The Parlay Press from Long Island. I have everything I've ever written still in a box in the house in case I ever decide to set my house on fire.
Yeah, for you kids out there, they used to take people would write things and people would take photographs and they would print this on paper. You'd actually get magazines, and there was a nice, Next magazine, HX magazine. There was also what was the magazine that in the 80s that I'm forgetting?
Oh God! I just said it. Mentioned it in a minute.
Something's Michael's thing.
Michael Giametta.
So
Michael Giametta.
And we loved having that press because those would come be delivered to the front door of places, and then people would run for it, to grab them and catch up on what was going on. It was really the way that we communicated before all of this.
They're all gone now.
Nothing's printed that way anymore.
Wow.
So one of the things that was amazing about Waverly and then O'Johnny's was the fact that Jerry had such a very loyal and a big following. And one of the things that he ended up doing while he was there is actually recording an album, which we actually have video footage of the commercial that they used to promote this album that Jerry Scott did on Gay Morning America. Now, Gay Morning America was on cable, and you had Johnny Poole, George Sardi, Byron, and George,
Johnny Savoy.
It was an incredible group that would get up, and the incredible part is that they would get up and they would be doing it at like 7 o'clock in the morning on a Friday morning. They did it once a week. One of the first things that went up on cable that really was catering to the gay and lesbian and the trans and the whole community, and that incredible work. And then they put this ad on. So I'm going to play this advertisement here for Jerry Scott's. It wasn't a CD; it was a CD actually. It was on tape. Also, they had it on little cassette tapes. You could get it. Now, folks, don't order it because it's not available with the address that they're going to mention. And now, of course, you would just download it. But here we go. Tony, would you bring that clip on?
Jerry Scott, live at Waverly, Waverly. Recorded live, this album contains the excitement and musical energy that transpires between performer and audience. Each song is beautifully played and sung by Jerry Scott, capturing an ambiance that will never be forgotten. For your personal enjoyment or a terrific gift, We are pleased to offer this recording available on record or cassette. To order your Jerry Scott album, send check or money order in the amount of $10 to State of the Art Enterprises, 219 East 44th Street, New York, New York. That's State of the Art Enterprises, 219 East 44th Street.
Tony, bring on Tree and Bryon again real quick.
I just got chills listening to that.
Right? And by the way, the voice on that was done by one of the managers that we knew at Waverly, Spain. Actually, did the voiceover for that. So you could get a little piece of Jerry Scott and take him home. And it was kind of revolutionary. It wasn't really happening in the clubs. It was one of the first things, and that was Susan Armour that helped Jerry get there. We're going to continue the show by bringing on another guest that was also, there aren't a lot of people left from that day. Unfortunately, there's a generation that's missing, due to the whole AIDS thing, the crisis that existed. And, but here we have coming up to us from sunny Florida. She just relocated. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tina Lindsay.
Hi, everybody. I met Jerry at Waverly in the early 80s, and I really got to know him at some of the clubs after that, like Kelly's and Danny's Steakhouse, etc. And this vest is Jerry Scott's vest in honor of him. I'm wearing it tonight. And it was given to me by Alan Armour, who was Jerry's last manager after Susan Armour passed away. And I love the man dearly. So I would like to go back even further and play a little bit of Johnny Ray. I went walking down by the river, feeling very sad inside. Then all at once I saw in the sky a little white cloud that cried. He told me he was so very lonesome that no one cared if he lived or died. He said sometimes the thunder and lightning would make all the other clouds high. He said have faith through all kinds of weather, for the sun will surely shine. And do your best to always remember dark clouds pass with time. He asked me if I would tell all the world just how hard those little clouds try. That's how I know I will always remember the little white cloud that sat right down and cried. Jerry Scott was always about hope, and I hope that song did justice to his message. He gave everybody hope. It was he who got me playing the piano after 25 years of not playing it. I had moved back east. I didn't even own a piano until I met Jerry. And one day in Kelly's, he told me, I hear you used to play at a rock band. And he said, I have news for you. you're playing tonight. And I did play that night, and I went out and got a piano, and I followed Jerry Scott through every club he worked at. With that, I will do another Johnny Ray song. Ooh-ah, ooh-ah, ooh-ah. If your sweetheart sends a letter of goodbye, it's no secret you feel better if you cry. When waking from a bad dream, don't you sometimes think it's real, but it's only for emotion they feel. If your heartache seems to hang around too long, and your blues keep getting bluer with each song, remember sunshine can be found behind those cloudy skies. So put your head down and go on and cry. When your heartache seems to hang around too long, and your blues keep getting bluer with each song, remember sunshine can be found behind those cloudy skies. So put your head down and go on and cry. Oh, if your heartache seems to hang around too long, and your blues keep getting bluer with each song, remember sunshine can be found behind those cloudy skies. So put your head down and go on and cry.
Hi, Tina.
Hi, Scott.
So nice to have you here.
Thank you.
You're in your new home. You've moved down to FLA. Is that right?
Yes, Sebring, Florida.
Nice. I've seen some pictures of this. You've got a beautiful place. You've done an
It's
amazing
historical.
job. It looks so comfy, cozy.
Yes, it is.
Excellent. So before I forget, because multitasking is so, I try. Anyway, we have so many nice old friends on the thread, including, I just want to mention that during the time that we were at Waverly, we used to, and at Johnny, there were brunch shows. And on the thread, we almost had her for the show tonight, but we weren't able to get it all worked out. But Jill Cohn, thank you. We're going to have you on soon as we can get this all worked out, with the technological stuff. But I also see Brad Menendez and some of my coworkers from Waverly, that we were a team of waiters there. That there were 4 of us that worked the entire time from the day that it opened to the day that it closed. So I see Terry Harris is on, who was bartending, and also Kevin Kennison, who was a waiter. There were so many friendships that were made there that lasted forever. And that's the amazing thing. So Tina, you walked in and Jerry just said you're going to go up to the piano. That was the introduction.
He just he told me, he said, I have news for you. You're playing tonight. And he
He
called me up there.
he loved
And
his
I sat down
Tina.
and I had no idea what I was going to do. And I did an old Elvis Presley song. And I can remember Andy Garcia, if you remember him, he came running up from the coat room and said, I didn't know you could sing and play. And I said, well, I haven't for many years. And that started it all. And then Jerry would call me up wherever he was. If he wanted to take a bathroom break or something, he
He
was
loved
kind
his
enough to
breaks.
consider.
He loved those breaks. Again,
Yeah.
that gave him the opportunity to visit the bar. The guys at the bar knew exactly what he would have. They'd have it ready for him, and then he'd go down for that smoke down at the front. Andy Garcia, by the way, we are tracking down. There apparently is video, but I haven't been able to secure it yet. But we're going to be getting that soon. I'm going to bring Tree on now as well with us at this point to say hello.
Hey, Tina. How are you, sweetheart?
Frozen. Can you hear?
Hello, Tree.
Can you hear?
Hi,
Excellent.
honey. It's been a while.
It has. It has.
I go to Fort Lauderdale, but I don't know where you are.
I'm in Florida.
What part?
Sebring.
No, I go to Fort Lauderdale.
That's
What-
further down,
what-
but I have friends down there too.
An amazing community down there in Fort Lauderdale, by the way. It's definitely a place to also go to. As far as it's always been a spot that the gay community would go on vacation to. There was Tree. What was the name of the hotel that was down there in Fort Lauderdale?
Oh God, I always stayed at a B&B. I never stayed at a hotel.
Yeah, there was a great hotel down there, and they did shows as well. But certainly a nice community down there. We all want to get down to Florida with PBL sometime soon, Tina. So we'll let you know, because I'm hoping we're going to see you when we get there. And I again want to say the Tree, the work that you did, the things that we did there, we really created such a safe space for everybody. We literally had all kinds of people coming into Waverly and O'Johnny's, and nobody would walk in there and behave badly.
No. I brought my mom in there for one of my birthday parties, and my mother, everybody called her Sally. And the day I was there, Jerry Scott started playing My Gal Sal, and whatever became of Sally in her honor.
And there was another Sally, right? Sally Maggio?
Sal Maggio, yeah,
Yeah,
220,
he used to come in.
220 Sally.
What was his club? His club was up in Midtown, right?
He had the 220 club.
The 220.
He had quite a few clubs. The one on 43rd Street, what was the name of it? Do you remember?
43rd. No, I don't.
So many places.
But he also had the after hour bar, if you remember, which became Page 6.
After hours. What is that?
Yeah, we got off to work at 4 and went after hours until noon the next day.
That was part of the deal.
That was it.
The kids don't do that not very many of the kids do that nowadays.
Remember it? Crisco Disco,
and then the Ice Palace was also still operating at that time. There was one in Manhattan, and then of course the classic out on the island.
Yeah.
So we definitely did the after hours. Tina, did you make it to the after hours?
Not really.
No wonder you look so young.
I went once, but if you remember Mona, who bartended at Kelly's, she said, "You stay where I can keep my eye on you."
Yeah.
And I did.
Kelly's.
So I didn't get in trouble.
Kelly's, of course, another classic place that we would go. She ran a tight ship, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
It was a fun place. Jerry Scott would be playing, and I'd be at the bar with Susan and Patrick and a bunch of us playing Liar's Poker with dollar bills.
Yeah.
And Jerry's playing, and Roscoe's behind the bar.
Roscoe, right?
Yeah. The thing is that we would go to like 4 or 5 places in a night, or in a morning. In a morning. So I'm going to bring on two other people that are familiar with Jerry and that work with Jerry and in the day. So, but first, let me bring the first one on. Andy Praskai is out there.
Hey, Andy.
Hey, Andy.
Hey, darling.
Hey, Andy.
I miss you in Jersey.
I miss you terribly. I know. I thank you for everything you do for our community, Tree. You're the best.
Thank you, Andy.
Hey,
we used to go to a drag show in Jersey called Jersey Girls at the Paradise, and Andy would show up.
I saw
Andy.
you at Paradise a few times. You're the best.
Andy, how did you meet Jerry?
I met Jerry. It was by happenstance. A office mate said to me he wanted to have a meeting with me, and I said sure. And he brought me to this little bar on 44th Street called Judy's. And I walked in and I met my folks/coworker, and all of a sudden this piano player started playing, and I was mesmerized. I was like, oh my God, who is this person? I never experienced such a connection with an entertainer in my life. And we had our little meeting, but I stayed until closing listening to Jerry Scott.
You know,
that was the beginning of my relationship with Jerry Scott, which lasted almost 30 years.
Judy's was another incredible place.
Yeah.
You know, Tony, I'm going to ask you as soon as Tom Gamblin is on, because Tom Gamblin is one of the few people that actually is still working. And so he's going to be getting onto the stream from his location. So as soon as he comes in, bring Tom right on. But let's bring Scott. Oh, he's here.
Oh, hello.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
Good. Hi, guys. What a great show.
Where are you? In the bathroom somewhere?
Hey, don't judge.
Not that we didn't go in a lot of bathrooms in those days.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the best lighting.
Tom, where are you working right now?
I'm at a Gotham Comedy Club on 23rd and 7th.
Managing there, right?
Yes.
Tom,
we just opened up 2 weeks ago.
Excellent. What kind of lineup you got there? You got some good. What do you have coming in?
Oh, we're doing the All Stars, which are people that have been on the Tonight Show and the Late Show, and they're not doing headliners until we can get up to capacity. We're at 33%. But it's great.
So, Tom, you're one of the few people like me that continues to make a living in this business. You had a long stint at the Metropolitan Room as well.
Yes, 10 years there.
Which was, the Metropolitan Room really put the community in a good place as far as a performance space for those 10 years.
Yeah, it was nice. So,
but I knew you when you were 10 years old and you came into Waverly.
And also Kelly's, I remember my brother Eugene is the one who introduced me to Jerry Scott.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
And Eugene worked at the bunkhouse, right?
Yes,
Out on the island.
Yep.
So that crew would come in from the island, and boy, Eugene was a good-looking guy. You were too young, but boy, he'd come in and he'd flex, he'd show the muscles. When he'd walk in, the whole place would stop.
Yeah. I thought you were talking about me, Scott.
No, you were a baby, Tom. But it was great that look. It was great that you were there, that you got to meet Jerry and worked with Jerry also, or you just
no, I sang with him and I did I think you were saying it was a tribute show we did for him at the old duplex. I don't know if it was Rose's turn. I think it was the duplex upstairs, and I sang a parody version of I'm Still Here. That's including stuff with Jerry.
Yeah.
I felt very honored to be able to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy is a powerhouse.
What an
entertainer.
He really lost an amazing person.
Yeah. So every time I hear Ring Them Bells, the first person I think of is Jerry.
That's a perfect segue for me to tell everybody it's time to get your keys ready.
Okay.
Have your keys out of your pocket. and ready, because we're going to do something that everybody that knows will know exactly what to do when we hit that mark. Tom, I don't want to keep you anymore because I know we have a video of you later in the show, but I don't want you to get, I don't want any of those waiters over there to think that they can, they need to be supervised, right?
I know. I have to go flash the light at some comedian to get them off stage.
Go do your thing. And thank you
Scott.
so much for
All right.
joining us and for the video.
All right. Bye-bye, guys.
So, Tony, bring on Scott Ailing.
Hey, guys.
Scott.
Oh,
Hey.
my gosh. It's so good to see It's so good to see you. Gosh, I haven't seen Andy in forever. Tree, I haven't seen you in forever. It's just, it's wonderful to see you guys.
Alive and kicking.
You know what, Tree? When I'm 82, I want to be just like you, hands down.
Hey, Scott. So, Scott, you're down in FLA as well, right?
No. I live just outside of
right,
DC
you
now.
were.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I
told
lived
me
in Florida for a while, but yeah, I got out of there.
You're in Washington, near Washington, D.C. now, right?
Yeah, just outside of DC in Virginia.
So when you worked with Jerry, one of his greatest stints that he had of all of them was where you worked, which was
at Danny's Grand Sea Palace and Skylight Room Cabaret. And I was lucky enough to work with Jerry for about 7 years. And it was big news when he was coming to Danny's because the original Judy's had closed and he was looking for a new home, and Danny got him, and it was a big deal. And I had never met him before. I'd worked at the Oaks and at Rosie 2 and and of course at Danny's, but like the first 5 minutes I met him, I was like, oh my god, I'm in love with this guy. He's just amazing.
Yeah.
And we had some really the thing about him, in addition to being just an amazing musician, was that he was the consummate host, and anybody that walked through that door felt like they were Jerry's guest of honor, and he made people feel so great. And we had people from all walks of life. We had Broadway stars and piano bar singers, and we had lawyers from New Jersey that would come in to spend time with him. People would plan their vacations around coming to see Jerry Scott. And anybody that walked through that door, it was like, oh my gosh, look who's here, and everybody would applaud, and it made them feel just fantastic.
He did.
Nobody, I've never met anybody that can do that like he could. It was just amazing.
He really was a gracious host, and always the belle of the ball.
Absolutely. As long as his vodka glass was full, that was my job.
Legendary Halloween costumes and parties. That over the years, that's the thing though too. When look, over the years, every place would be open and then it would close because it was just that. But whenever that would happen, Jerry always landed on his feet somewhere because of the talent that he brought.
Oh yes.
And he had one of the best Susan Armour.
He had one of the hugest followings.
And
ever.
he did.
Yeah.
Any place was lucky to have him.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Susan and Alan worked their butts off for him too. I mean, they negotiated for that man.
Yes.
And they got him what he deserved. And you couldn't deny the following that he had. I mean, every single night that he was at the piano was a party. Every single night.
Absolutely.
As you said, Scott, every person who walked through the door felt special.
Yeah.
And I got to know Jerry on the personal side, away from the bar, like when we were playing cards on a Monday night and no one was around. And only one time I asked him, and this is when he let down his guard, if you will. I said, Jerry, what makes you so special? And he said to me, Andy, my philosophy is that anyone who walked through the door of wherever I was playing would leave with a smile on their face.
Yeah,
that was his philosophy.
Yeah, and he lived it. He lived it every single time.
Absolutely, every single night.
Absolutely.
I was sitting with him one night, having a couple of drinks after, you know, we were closing down. And I said, Jerry, you know what really irritates me about you? And he said, ha, what? I said, you always have something nice to say about everybody. And, you know, I said, I'm sick of it. I'm like, all right, I'm going to give you a challenge. Hitler, say something nice. And he grabbed his vodka glass and, you know, clinked the ice around a little bit. He said, well, he was very organized.
That's Jerry.
That's
Jerry. He's been to my house a few times with Gavin. We'd have a little get together. He liked coming here because I had no piano.
Nice. So listen, so Andy, one of the things that you showed the love with was putting together a really a wonderful tribute when Jerry passed. With so many photos. Don't go anywhere, folks, because you're going to see yourself in this montage of photos as Jerry plays his. It really was his standard.
It was his 11 o'clock number sometimes. Yes,
absolutely. So everybody, you have.
I put this together after Jerry passed. It was the first birthday after Jerry had passed, and I was devastated. I lost not only my accompanist, but my spark to sing live, and one of my best friends. And without getting emotional, which I already am, I put this together with a labor of love because I was able to secure a lot of the pictures that were in his photo album that Alan Arbor had given me, as well as a recording that not many people had ever heard. So I took this recording, and I think it was either at the Bunkhouse or somewhere very early in his career where he had a trio, and I was able to remaster it so it would sound good.
And it does, and it will. Like I said, everybody just sit back. Again, use the keys when you know you need them. And let's sit back and watch. This is Jerry and his friends. Jerry singing, and so many friends.
Ring them bells, ring them bells. The Lord is ring them bells, ring them bells. Make them sing, you gotta ring them bells. You have to sing, to hear them sing-a-ling, you gotta ring them bells. Gather around, I got a story to tell about a Manhattan lady that I know very well. She lives at 5 Riverside. Her name is Shirley DeVore. She traveled around the world to meet the fellow next door. Well, there was trouble inside apartment 29E, because Shirley's mother and dad were as upset as can be. They said, we don't like to complain, dear, and we don't like to grouse, but you're nearly 32, you should get out of the house. Go on and ring them bells, ring them bells. Make them sing, you gotta ring them bells. But you have to be a thing, to hear them sing-a-ling, you gotta ring them bells. Now Shirley was 31, which she was loath to admit. She had never been loved, which didn't thrill her a bit. So she sat and she thought for hours on end and said, I'll go to Chase Manhattan Bank, where I got me a friend. And so she borrowed 1,000 and called TWA and told her mother and dad that she was up and away. She said, I'll travel the continent a month, maybe 2, but I'll haul me home a huzz if it's the last thing I do. I'm gonna ring them bells, make them sing, you gotta ring them bells, but you have to be a thing, to hear them sing-a-ling, you gotta ring them bells. So she took herself to Kennedy Airport and got one ticket going to London, England. And then she first met a Londoner, but they did not hit it off, 'cause every time she approached, he got a bronchial cough. And so she went to Madrid and met a handsome senor who liked to throw the bull, but he was no matador. Well, then she bombed out in Brussels, in Mallorca and Rome. And someone said, try Dubrovnik, dear, before you go home, 'cause it's the kind of a place where you're likely to fall. All the people who go there find the Balkans a ball. You've got to ring them bells, ring them bells, make them sing. You gotta ring them bells, get your hands on the thing. You hear them sing-a-ling, you gotta ring them bells. Everybody sing with me. Go on and ring them bells, ring them bells, make them sing. You gotta ring them bells, get your hands on the thing. You hear them sing-a-ling, you gotta ring them bells. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, to make a long story short, whoops, too late. She went to Dubrovnik, and the very first day she met a man on the beach who took her reason away. Yes, it was love at first sight, a beautiful scene. She said, I'm Cheryl DeVore. He said, I'm Norm Saperstein. She said, are you from New York? He said, that can't be denied. I got a swell junior 3 at number 5 Riverside. As if that wasn't enough, poor Shirley thought she'd gone deaf when he told her his apartment there was 29F. Yes, she was E, he was F, and they had never met until she traveled the world to Yugoslavia yet. He'd always been right next door. She might never have known. If she hadn't tried Dubrovnik, she might still be alone. So you gotta ring them bells, ring them bells, make them sing. You gotta ring them bells, put your hands in the thing. You hear them sing-a-ling, you gotta ring them bells. Well, just as everybody probably already guessed, any song that has this many verses must have a moral to learn from little Shirley DeVore, who traveled all around the world to meet the fellow next door. You girls who live in apartments, don't just stare at the walls. Open up your doors and hurry out in the halls. Go ring them bells, ring them bells. Make them sing, you gotta ring them bells. If you happy thing, you hear them sing-a-ling, you gotta ring them bells. Let's do it one more time. Go on and ring them bells, ring them bells. Make them sing, you gotta ring them bells. If you happy thing, you hear them sing-a-ling, you gotta ring them bells. Ring them bells.
That was amazing.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you, Andy.
wonderful.
I feel like,
Andy, you're muted.
I feel like I want to
I think
cry.
he's frozen too.
It happens. This is the nature of this business. But Tony and I love it because we get to go out once a week and do Piano Bar Live. And this was a special week, of course, because celebrating Jerry. If you saw anybody in that montage of photographs that isn't on, that send them the link. You can share this show, by the way. It's going to be archived. So you guys can all share with everybody. And let's remind everybody of that time that was and that friend that was, Mr. Jerry Scott. We have other people on the thread. We were going to have Tug Wilson. Tug, thank you for being here on the thread tonight. Next time we go live, we're going to ask you to stop by because I think we're going to have to do another one of these kind of celebrations of Waverly, Waverly, and that past that we all know. Maybe in June when we're starting to get ready to celebrate Stonewall again. Everybody here was a part of helping to create the world that we live in today. Andy, you have to unmute. There you go. Everybody here today has been a part of moving this world along. It is incredible where we are as far as what we've given to the generations, that followed us. A lot of them don't know the history, and I tell them at this time, know your history, because we want to keep going in the right direction, and so easily things can turn around again. And I'm sure Tree could speak oodles to that, because places that he travels to are places that are still struggling with having acceptability of letting people be who they are and leaving them alone.
When I was in Serbia, they're coming out of darkness there. And a small parade, but there were 500 cops protecting the gay community in Belgrade.
Wow.
And the prime minister is a lesbian, but she's not allowed to talk about gay rights, or she'll get fired.
Yeah, it's not that. What we have here in the United States, in the good old USA, is not quite what everybody else in the world sees. It has. So
right.
The more that we have to double down, like everybody else is doubling down, we double down, and we make sure that we can continue to create the environment, that makes it a free world for all.
I think all of us owe a huge debt of gratitude to Tree too, because he has worked harder for us than anybody. So thank you for everything you've done.
Thanks, Tree. I appreciate it.
Tree, I'm going to tell a quick story about you out of school. So it was one night we had a straight that we liked straight people. It was great. We had them coming in as guests, and but there was a chef at Waverly, and boy, he was a son of a bitch. And you guys that have been waiters and know that sometimes you hand the plate through, and you're supposed to put the cool part of the plate towards the waiter that's going to pick it up. And he and I did not like each other very much. And one day he turned around and he put the hot side after being under the broiler, and I grabbed it and I burned myself. And Tree had enough of this guy's shenanigans and got him at the end of the night one night after thank you, Tree, for waiting for him to fill all the food orders that night. But when you took care of him, he literally lifted off the ground. When you gave him a classic move that literally lifted him off the ground and sent him down the stairs, as I recall, at Waverly. He was fired after that as well. So you really you protected so many of us that, and there were others in the community that, there was a Mick the Quick and Stormy that were at other bars.
I consider you all my kids.
You know what, Tree? Thank you. I consider you to be Papa. You did it, and you, of course, had people that led the way for you in your generation.
Remember, I met Stormy DeLavere in 1958.
And Stormy would not let anything happen in the spots that she was on the door. She took care of people that were in those clubs. No, there was no nonsense, and that's the way it was, and it had to be in those days. So we actually have one more video of Jerry that we're going to show after this video that we have that we procured from Tom Gamblin, a video, and we are going to do a song from Lacage, another song, but it's a slightly different version, and it was so powerful when it was done that we can play it twice. We don't usually do that in one of our PBLs. But Tony, would you bring on Tom, and then I'll see you all at the flip side. Almost.
I am what I am. I am my own special creation. So come, take a look. Give me the hook or the ovation. It's my world that I want to have a little pride in. My world, and it's not a place I have to hide in. Life's not worth a damn till you can say, hey world, I am what I am. I am what I am. I don't want praise. I don't want pity. I bang my own drum. Some think it's noise. I think it's pretty. And so what? If I love each feather and each spangle, why not try to see things from a different angle? Your life is a sham till you can shout out loud, I am what I am. Something familiar, something peculiar, something for everyone, a comedy tonight. Something appealing, something appalling, something for everyone, a comedy tonight. Nothing with kings, queens, nothing with crowns. Bring on the lovers, liars or clowns. Old situations, new complications. Nothing pretentious or polite. Open up the curtain. Comedy, 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 comedy. Tonight I am what I am, and what I am needs no excuses. I deal my own deck. Sometimes the ace, sometimes the deuces. There's one life, and there's no return, no deposit. One life, so it's time to open up your closet. Life's not worth a damn till you can say, hey world, I am what I am. I am.
You gotta love
Awesome.
you gotta love the feather boas. There was certainly enough of those in the day. I have I'm doing something a little different tonight. I hardly drink anymore, but I hardly drink any less. And this one is going down for Jerry. If you have a beverage, it's time to raise a
Cheers.
glass. Say cheers. Thank you, Maestro. You really you created a scene, my friend, wherever you be. And of course, there was also Gavin that we saw in a lot of the shots. You know, there was a long time that we thought Jerry was just going to be a spinster and it wasn't going to go any other way. And then he met Gavin and a true love story with the two of them. So we have another video that we're going to close out with Jerry. But before that, I just want to thank all of you for joining us. The folks on the thread, John Hoagland is on the thread.
Love you all.
We're going to get John on one of these soon. I have to help him get the technology together, and we'll do that. And a bunch of other people, including Terry Harris, who kept a good eye on me. Tree, what was the name of the older gentleman that used to drink at Waverly George? What was his last name? Do you remember?
George?
He was an older, very distinguished looking fellow. And he used to aggravate everybody by it was his birthday every time he would walk in.
Oh God.
You know who I mean, though, right?
I know who you mean, but
one of my first days waiting tables there, I went to him and I said, "Would you like an after dinner drink?" And he said, "Yes, can I have dingleberry juice on the rocks?" Now, he did not know I was from Brooklyn, okay?
I like
We
this
had
style.
no idea what dingleberry juice was in Brooklyn. So I went to the bar and I asked Terry, George would like to have a dingleberry juice. And Terry saved me that night. He explained it all to me and explained what an old coot George was. But he was lovable. But that was the kind of crowd you'd get in there. And of course, the names go on. I could talk to you about the Marilyn Lois out from Fire Island. They were regulars. We had so many people that we've connected with there. So before I go to the last video, Tony, you want to come on?
Sure.
We're going to talk a little bit about next week.
Okay.
Actually, I'm going to talk about what I'm doing tomorrow. Tomorrow night, I'm actually going to go back to upstairs at the Stonewall, which is the piano bar. And Mark Hartman is going to be there, and Elena Bennett is going to be joining me there.
Oh, great night.
I want to come.
Yeah.
Very nice there, by the way. And very you get your temperature taken. You write your name down for the list, so in case they need us. Lots of plastic up there. Everything is being wiped down in between the sets. It's actually very safe. It felt very safe to me, which is why I'm going back. I would have left if I wasn't. It truly is a good experience there. And I think I saw, who's that? Anybody? We might be getting interference. We used to get
Turn
taxis.
your TV off.
Yeah, someone's got their TV on.
TVs.
Turn that off. We're almost.
Taxi cab drivers. In the day, a taxi could be going by and they would be on their radio and it would pop into the sound systems of places.
That actually happened.
If you recall that happening. So,
what time tomorrow? Do you know?
I'm meeting her at around 8:00.
Bar crawl.
While there will never be another Jerry Scott, I mean, clearly, I saw a young fellow there last week by the name of Mark Olesko, and he's got a lot of the things that he needs that are the same things that we appreciated that Jerry had, and he's a great player. So he's somebody to watch. I think he's there on Thursdays. And then lastly, on the 18th of May, we're going back to Chicago to visit our friends in Chicago on PBL. So anybody that's in Chicago or anywhere, you can tune in and watch. So you guys, thank you so much for all being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
It was a great experience. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to go. We have one more video. This is an original song that somebody gave Jerry that he put the music to. And I think that it really will set a really good way for us to end the evening. So thank you, everybody on the thread. Thank you all for joining us here at Piano Bar Live. And we're here every Tuesday. Again, if you can still help us by hitting the button and paying a PayPal or a Venmo. You never forget the tip bowl is always a part of what we do. I've carried one for my whole life, and it's helped me get through. So if you folks,
it doubles as a hat, so it's very helpful.
Yeah, or a helmet. More like this one is more like a helmet.
It is. It's true.
So,
Well,
Tony,
thank you for what you do.
We try, Tony. I couldn't do it without Tony, and we try every week to do something a little special. Again, it's our big night out.
Yeah.
But we're starting to go out to real live venues. This is going to continue. Like most people realize that if you have something like this and you have a live venue, you can stream out and the whole world sees what you're doing. And when they come to New York, they're going to come to your spot. So
that's right.
Give
them a taste, and then bring them, and then get them into the next venue you're playing at. Yeah,
right.
Hit them, club them, and then get them into the boat.
Whatever works.
Whatever works. So here's a little song that Jerry did. We're going to end the stream, and thank you all again. and have a great night, whatever you're all up to at this point.
Thank you all. It's great to meet
Thanks
you.
for having us, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
I'll catch the sun and never give it back again. I'll catch the sun and keep it for my own. 'Cause in a world where no one understands, I'll take my outstretched hands and offer them to anyone who comes along. Tells me they're in need of love, in need of hope, or maybe just a friend. Perhaps in time I'll even share my son with that new anyone to whom I gave my hand. I'll catch the sun and never give it back again. I'll catch the sun and keep it for my own. 'Cause in a world where no one understands, I'll take my outstretched hands and offer them to anyone who comes along and tells me they're in need of love, in need of hope, maybe just a friend. Perhaps in time I'll even share my son with that new anyone. Have